Have you ever heard of a tragedy so ironic it feels like fiction? In 1975, inside a quiet Kodak laboratory in upstate New York, a 24-year-old engineer named Steve Sasson built something extraordinary, the world's first digital camera. It was clunky, slow, and captured black and white images on a cassette tape. But it worked. It was the seed of a revolution that would change the way humanity remembers itself. He brought it to Kodak's executives, proud and trembling, showing them the future. They looked at it, paused, and said, "That's cute, but don't tell anyone." Why? Because that little invention, the one that could take pictures without film, threatened Kodak's most profitable product, their golden goose, their film business. So they buried it. And with that decision, they buried themselves. If you think you already know Kodak's story, think again. Because this isn't a story about photography, it's about fear, the kind that turns success into paralysis and progress into suicide. If you're brave enough to face the truth hidden behind every "too successful company" comment below, I want to know the truth. And don't forget to subscribe, because the next episode may reveal why the future always punishes those who deny it. Welcome to the Analog Trap, where we explore how profit becomes a prison. To understand Kodak's fall, you need to understand its power. For most of the 20th century, Kodak wasn't just a company. It was an empire of emotion. Every wedding, birthday, and first step was captured on Kodak film. Their slogan was simple: Kodak moments. They weren't just selling photos, they were selling memories. By the 1980s, Kodak controlled 90% of film sales and 85% of camera sales in America. Its brand was as trusted as Coca-Cola, its profits massive and steady. But that success came with a hidden curse. Every roll of film they sold made them rich, so rich that the idea of replacing film felt like insanity. When Sasson showed his digital prototype, executives didn't see innovation. They saw cannibalization. They asked, why would anyone ever want to see their pictures on a screen? And they worried, digital will eat our film business alive. And they were right. Digital would eat film alive. But here's the irony. It was going to happen anyway. Kodak just refused to be the one doing the eating. They were trapped by their own success. The analog trap. When your current profits are so good, you stop imagining a future without them. Inside Kodak's boardrooms, strategy meetings became therapy sessions for denial. They told themselves the threat was exaggerated, that film had decades left, that digital was just too niche. They didn't realize that technology doesn't wait for permission. It grows quietly, like mold, spreading on certainty. And by the time Kodak finally looked down, the ground beneath them was already gone. This brings us to the internal rebellion, the story of the engineers who saw tomorrow. Deep inside Kodak's research labs, a small group of engineers refused to stop dreaming. They saw what was coming: faster processors, cheaper storage, and the rise of a connected world. They begged Kodak's leadership. Let us develop digital, let us compete with Japan. But their voices were drowned out by the hum of film printers and dividend reports, because at Kodak, loyalty to the past mattered more than belief in the future. So while Kodak hesitated, its rivals, especially Fujifilm in Japan, moved like lightning. They experimented, failed, iterated, and by the mid-1990s, digital imaging was no longer an experiment. It was an industry. Fujifilm even began digitizing photo labs, building early sensors, and investing in healthcare imaging, a diversification strategy that Kodak laughed at. Kodak still believed they had time. They thought their brand was immortal, their market untouchable. But technology doesn't care about legacies. It only cares about who dares to go first. Inside Kodak, morale crumbled. Engineers who once felt proud now felt invisible. Their ideas sat in drawers, collecting dust, while the world outside sprinted ahead. By 1999, digital cameras had become mainstream, and Kodak was nowhere near leading the charge. They tried to catch up, but their decisions were always late, always cautious, always aimed at protecting the corpse of their old empire. When the company finally embraced digital photography, it was like a king dressing up for his own funeral. This leads us to the lesson: when success makes you stupid. Kodak's tragedy isn't about technology, it's about psychology. The company wasn't blind, it was afraid to destroy the very thing that made it rich. This is what business scholars call the innovator's dilemma. But on a human level, it's just fear in a suit. They were asset-rich but idea-poor. A giant so weighed down by its own success that it couldn't move when the world shifted. You can see the same disease today in companies, in people, in anyone who becomes too comfortable with what used to work. Kodak didn't die because of competition. It died because of inertia. The arrogance of assuming tomorrow will look exactly like yesterday. And perhaps the saddest part is that they had everything they needed to survive: the technology, the talent, the money, everything except courage. Because to survive disruption, you must be willing to kill your own success before the world does it for you. Now, let's look in the mirror, because the future doesn't wait. Today, Kodak still exists, but as a shadow of its former self. A reminder printed in yellow and regret. They could have been Apple before Apple, Instagram before Instagram, the center of visual memory for the digital age. Instead, they became a case study in fear. So the next time you hear someone say, "We can't risk changing what's working," remember Kodak, because that's exactly what every dying empire once said. The future doesn't care how legendary you were. It only asks one question: are you still willing to evolve? And if your answer is no, then history already knows your ending. Finally, we have to talk about the cost of fear. Kodak's death wasn't sudden. It was a slow surrender, a decade-long refusal to see what was obvious. They invented the future, then buried it to protect the past. And that's what fear does. It disguises itself as wisdom, as caution, as protecting what we built. But in truth, it's just a slow form of decay, because every company, every leader, every person will face a moment where the old way must die for the new one to live. The question is, will you have the courage to pull the trigger? If this story resonated with you, if it made you look differently at your own comfort zone, then share this video. Let someone else see the cost of ignoring tomorrow. And if you're ready to learn how innovators stay fast, fearless, and alive, download our free ebook, Radical Innovation Thinking. Comment below, "I want to know the truth," and don't forget to subscribe, because the next episode may just reveal why even the most powerful ideas are nothing without the courage to act. This is the Seeds of Serenity, where ambition meets humility, and the stories of yesterday teach us how to survive tomorrow. Thank you for watching.